I'm delighted to be joined by a woman with a great deal of common sense, Recastled CEO Kosha Gada. How are you, Kosha? Lovely to see you.
Great to be back, Rowan.
Okay, so give us your take. There's a lot of misinformation, as I said at the beginning. Basically, the Supreme Court's just gone, nope, not our problem, leave it to the states. Yet you would believe it was the end of women's rights, and also we've gone plummeting back hundreds of years, and the American Constitution and Supreme Court is no longer valid. What's your thoughts?
Yes, the overstating and distortion of this issue by the media, especially international media, and even leaders like President Macron, who took a lot of flack for a tweet that he sent out that actually didn't make a lot of sense, just as an example, has been quite stunning, Rowan, because all this really has done, this whole overturn, it's ultimately about constitutionality and federalism. That's all it is, because the original ruling in 1973, the legal theory that it was based on, by which the Supreme Court then determined that this is a federally protected constitutional right, was very shaky. Legal scholars for 50 years, including pro-choice ones, have said that it's very vulnerable and it is ripe for being overturned at the right moment in history. That moment has come. And that's all this is saying. It's going back to the states. What that means is about a third of the states, no change. New York, California, Oregon, Rhode Island, it's going to be the same. It might even get more lenient. A third of the states are now going to kick in, have already kicked in bans very close to from conception or even 6 weeks. And a third of the states are going to have it be at about 15 weeks, which is in line with most European countries, by the way, just up to the first trimester. So nothing really changes in that sense. But I just think that, the 15% of the country that really believes in abortion being something that should be the right of a woman up until the point of birth, that's about 15% of the country, it is not the majority, they are out of step with popular opinion. And so that's the group that you're seeing, rioting and being noisy, because in the absence of persuasion, coercive tactics reign supreme.
Yeah, indeed. One of those bits of graffiti, Kosha, was something along the lines of, if abortion isn't safe, neither are you, clearly threatening violence. We saw the attempted assassination of Kavanaugh, the rage against, the ruling authorities. How dangerous is this unrest? We've had, after 2 years of all the Black Lives Matter, the Trump, sagas, America just seems to be collapsing into two very, very divisive and different camps. Is that just us looking from afar and seeing that? Or do you think there's some...
It is. No, I think that's true, sad but true. And I would say the violence, it is dangerous insofar as if the public doesn't believe that law enforcement will come in and prosecute equally. There is a little bit of this, how much of it is reality versus perception almost doesn't matter, that there's sort of this two-tier justice system and certain people are being prosecuted more than others. When the public believes that is when I think you're not in a harmonious society. It's not a good recipe. If you believe that at least law enforcement will be equally handed, then it's better. But I think things are going to get possibly worse. I hate to say it, before they get better. And as you mentioned, the Kavanaugh assassination attempt is a case in point. That's a huge deal. It was quite buried by the media, and that was very, very dark.
Just very quickly, another contentious area is always guns in America. The Biden administration has passed one of its biggest reforms in decades, largely a bipartisan compromise. Doesn't go as far as the Democrats would have liked. There are provisions for tougher background checks for young gun purchases and so on. What did you make of these changes?
It's always heartwarming when we see our elected representatives getting along and doing something for the good of the nation. But I hate to say it, I think this is just another feel-good gesture. It's polling well. It's probably politically expedient for both sides. That's why they came together. I don't know that it's going to do much to solve the problem that we're trying to solve here. There are two components to it. One was beefing up security in schools and mental health provisions in schools. That's actually a good thing. I think most people agree with that. That'll do some good. The other thing is this red flag law, beefing up the red flag laws. That's controversial because there's no shortage of red flag laws already. And kind of the argument that people on the other side, the opponents of this, make is that you cannot legislate against evil. All these things do is leads to law-abiding citizens having their Second Amendment right infringed upon, whereas criminals don't care. What are you going to do? Print out the latest red flag law and show it to somebody before he's going to commit a crime? It doesn't really work in practical terms.
Kosha Gada, always great to chat to you for your insights about the US of A. Thanks so much for your time.